Governor DeSantis fires back at Kamala Harris for how she's handling Hurricane Milton as it is barreling towards Florida as we speak.
From the emergency management headquarters in Tallahassee, Governor, you've been there quite often. What's the greatest challenge with Milton as opposed to Helene or others you've had to deal with over the last 7 years?
Well, I think as Janice mentioned, this is tracking very close to that Tampa Bay area. I would note that anyone on the western peninsula of Florida, just wherever that eye wall is scheduled to go across now on these cones, that can shift. I think right now they have it just south of Tampa Bay in Manatee County. It could shift further north and it could shift further south in terms of having the most immediate impacts. But that Tampa Bay area is very low lying. Pinellas County, where I grew up, is surrounded by water. It's a peninsula. It is just vulnerable to storm surge generally. This is a storm that's going to be hitting sometime Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. The water is already going to be high with the tide. So that's a huge, huge concern. Now, it had gotten up to 180 mile an hour when it was going towards the Yucatan Peninsula in the Gulf of Mexico. That is an incredibly powerful storm. It has weakened since then. It may strengthen today. The forecasts are that it will make landfall weaker than it is today. Let's pray that that's the case. The surge is going to be a big enough problem, and hopefully the winds are manageable. Most of the buildings in Florida are going to be able to handle a Category 3 storm. So there's a lot going on. And oh, by the way, we just had a Category 4 storm impact a lot of people up the west coast of Florida. One of the issues that we saw in places like the Pinellas County beaches and Manatee County beaches was there was a lot of debris. And these local governments have to pick it up. They have contractors that do it, but it wasn't being done fast enough. So I did this weekend. I took all of our state agencies, any truck we had anywhere in the state who's involved in normal missions, we diverted it over to those barrier islands. We're doing a 24/7 debris mission. So we've been able in 48 hours with our state assets be able to do as much debris removal as any of the contractors who've been doing this for almost 2 weeks. Wow. We actually had to pry open one of the landfills in Pinellas County because it wasn't operating 24/7 as my executive order did, but we've made a big dent in that. And the issue is if you have this debris laying out, it can become projectiles, right. And then with the storm surge, it creates more damage. So it's very difficult. We're going to get hit basically 2 weeks on the dot from getting hit by Helene, but we felt it was important that we did that. We also have now close to 40,000 utility linemen in the state of Florida are en route. And remember, there's a lot of these workers that are still in Georgia and North Carolina and those places. We've had to bring them in all the way from California. So they're going to be ready to do the power restoration mission. And then we'll have 8,000 Florida National Guard when the storm hits. All our urban search and rescue, our Florida State Guard, Fish and Wildlife, all that will be there, ready to go. So we're prepared for this. This is not easy. I think it's been very taxing on our citizens to have to go through this. Just as you're starting to pick up the pieces from Helene, now you see another monster storm bearing down. But we'll get through this. I think the important thing today is you still have time to execute your plan. You do not have to get on the interstate and drive hundreds of miles. There are shelters open all throughout the state of Florida. In your county, there's shelters that are in higher ground and that are hurricane-proof. So if you don't want to get on the interstate, you don't have to. And there's a wide variety of options. So if you are in one of those surge-prone areas, take action now. We have all day today. As we get into tomorrow, you're going to start seeing effects most likely in Wednesday afternoon.
And in fact, Governor, I was down in Florida yesterday, and I know that a lot of the stores are running out of water. The gas stations are running low on gas. A lot of people who were impacted by Helene actually lost their cars. And so there are lines out the door at car rental places for people trying to get out. And as well, you've got your emergency services people, and the cops are going door to door in the A-zone evacuation areas, saying you've got to get out. Because once this storm hits, you guys are not going to be able to go and save them. They've got to save themselves by getting out now, right?
That goes with any storm. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to be for you. You have to either get out or go to a shelter. I don't care how tough you think you might be, this hurricane will take you down a few pegs. Especially after the devastation that just happened in North Carolina. Why would you take any risks regarding your health?
Transportation for folks that don't have it. And then the state has entered into an agreement with Uber. So if you need a ride to a shelter, you can go on Uber. There's a
awesome.
code for Milton relief. And so take advantage of that. Absolutely. And you should do that. But yes, you run from the water and you hide from the wind. If we end up with a Category 3 storm, most of the places in Florida, particularly with our building codes, if you hunker down, in and of itself, you'll probably be okay. But the water, you just can't contend with Mother Nature. If you have 10 feet of that surging in, it is incredibly destructive. It is not something that you want to mess with. So there are options for you. You have time to be able to do it. And make sure that you are safe in your family. And oh, by the way, the pets too. All counties and shelters, they have at least one pet-friendly shelter. We've actually evacuated some of the pet shelters where you've had abandoned pets. We've moved them to safer shelters in other parts of the state. So there's contingencies for all this stuff. We're going to have damage. People are going to lose homes. We're going to have businesses. We're going to have destruction of infrastructure. But we can fix all that.
You guys
can't
have
fix if you decide to stay in 10 feet of storm surge and you die.
You've mastered the process there. Everybody gives you credit for it because, you guys do such a great job with handling this. But we're learning that FEMA now is reporting that there's a severe shortage of disaster workers. This is also coming with, they're saying they're going to need more money. They may run out of money in November. So what are your thoughts on that? And are you guys set in Florida to be able to cover your people, even if FEMA won't have the money?
Well, we have what we need right now. And so FEMA, we work with them. Some of the urban search and rescue, a lot of those people are in Florida anyways, but we're also bringing them in from around the country. We're also working with DOD to supplement the fuel mission. So we have all our requests have been honored pre-storm, and we anticipate after the storm. I don't know what Congress is going to have to do going forward, but I will want, because Steve also raised a good point about the fuel. So the fuel situation is in Florida. It's not a supply issue, it's a distribution issue because the stations are running through it faster than they normally do. We have Florida Highway Patrol escorting these fuel trucks into the gas stations, Port of Tampa, which is one of the places where we get a lot of our fuel from. And so we will work around that as needed.
Governor, I know Kamala Harris called you selfish. She said she's tried to contact you to talk to you about hurricane relief. And I know that you've said, I think you said she didn't try to contact you. We want to get your response. But first, listen to what she said. Well, we don't have the sound, but she said, moment of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone calls himself a leader, says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now and playing political games at this moment in these crisis situations. These are the height of emergency situations. It's just utterly irresponsible, and it's selfish, and it's about political gamemanship. What's your response?
Well, I think she should look in the mirror. We've been on an emergency footing for 2 weeks straight, round the clock, 24/7. We've been working, my office, our Division of Emergency Management, helping people prepare for Hurricane Helene, helping effectuate rescues of people after Hurricane Helene, helping people pick up the pieces of their lives after Helene, and then have to also turn around and prepare for major impacts and maybe even more impacts from Hurricane Milton, be able to have rescue personnel ready to help people, and then, of course, help with the power restoration, all these things to do. So that's been my sole focus. My focus has not been on dealing with Kamala Harris. I saw the news report. I didn't know she tried to contact me. But I'd also say it's not about you, Kamala. Right. It's about the people of Florida.
All that DeSantis is trying to do right now is protect his constituents. He's trying to be as prepared as possible. This isn't about some photo op that Kamala Harris can do to boost her campaign numbers. This is about people's lives and making sure that they are as prepared as possible. I mean, if Kamala cared so much about the people in times of tragedy, why doesn't she go to North Carolina and help out there? So why don't you focus on that instead of trying to make DeSantis look bad for not dropping everything and picking up this phone call to talk to you?
Focus has not been on dealing with Kamala Harris. I saw the news report. I didn't know she tried to contact me. But I'd also say it's not about you, Kamala. It's
Right.
about the people of Florida. My focus is exactly where it should be. And I can tell you this, I've worked on these hurricanes under both President Trump and President Biden. Neither of them ever tried to politicize it. She has never called on any of the storms we've had since she's been vice president until apparently now. Why all of a sudden is she trying to parachute in and inject herself when she's never shown any interest in the past? We know it's because of politics. We know it's because of her campaign. I have zero time to entertain these political games. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to prepare and respond to what may be one of the most damaging storms in the history of the United States. So she says focusing on protecting your people is selfish. I think she ought to look in the mirror.
Who do you want representing you? The person who's actually working to make your life better and making sure you're as prepared as possible for a huge hurricane that's coming your way? Or would you rather someone who's trying to make it appear as they're so helpful, but in reality, they're not doing much? This has not been the first hurricane that has hit Florida since she entered the Oval Office 3.5 years ago. So why is she so interested in it now? It's clear as day. She's only doing this for political purposes. I think she's just trying to make herself look as good as possible, especially after the blunder that happened in North Carolina. It's looking so bad at her. She's trying to do whatever it takes to put a band-aid on that and have people forget about it. It's amazing what some of these politicians will do for political gains. But yeah, let me know. Will this hurricane be affecting any of you guys? And if so, I wish you guys the absolute best. I'm praying for you. I hope that you stay safe these next couple days. Yeah, let me know what you're doing to stay safe, whether you're going to a shelter, whether you're driving up north, or whatever. Let me know. I'd love to hear that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe. And I wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.